The text arrived at 2:17 p.m. on a Tuesday that smelled of lilacs and warm asphalt. One of those May afternoons that tricks you into believing nothing bad can happen while the sun is still high. I was standing in the produce section of the little organic market 3 blocks from the townhouse we'd rented together last October. My basket held the ingredients for the welcome home dinner I'd imagined. Saffron shrimp, a crusty loaf because Jules loved tearing into bread while the butter was still cold. They'd flown to Denver that morning for what we'd called the last summit, a final meeting with the fertility lawyer who'd been coordinating our reciprocal IVF. My egg, their womb, a baby we'd already nicknamed Bean. We had a shared Google Calendar titled Operation Bean. I'd shaded it in pistachio green. The phone vibrated against the avocado display. A single line from Jules, no emoji, no punctuation that might soften the edges. The commitment is canceled. Legal steps will follow soon. I read it once, twice, then a third time, waiting for autocorrect to reveal itself, for the follow-up bubble that would say, "Sorry, Han, wrong window," meant for the lawyer. It never came. A woman in a linen sundress asked if I was okay. Apparently I'd been squeezing an avocado hard enough to leave fingertip graves. I nodded, set the fruit back like it was evidence, and walked out into the parking lot where the sun kept shining with the indifference of a deity on overtime. We had not fought in weeks. Unless you count the whispered disagreement over paint swatches, sea salt versus quietude, for what would have been Bean's room. Jules had kissed my forehead and said, "You choose. You'll be the one staring at it during 3 a.m. feeds." That was 4 days ago. That was love, wasn't it? I sat in the driver's seat, doors locked, air too still. My thumbs hovered like awkward relatives at a funeral. What commitment? I typed, then deleted, because obviously the commitment meant everything. The 5-year relationship, the joint bank account, the sperm donor we'd interviewed over Zoom who played jazz piano and spoke fluent Mandarin. The houseplant we'd named godparent. I tried calling. Straight to voicemail, Jules's voice, warm and slightly nasal, saying, "Hi, you've reached Jules. Leave a happy thought." The beep felt like a slap. I left no happy thought. Legal steps. The phrase rang like a courthouse gavel in my brain. Could you break up via text and summon attorneys in the same breath? Apparently you could. Jules had once drafted contracts for a living. Language was their native tongue, emotion the second language they never fully mastered. I drove home on autopilot, past the dog park where we'd practiced walking an imaginary leash. We'll need to practice before Bean arrives. Past the bodega where the owner, Amir, had already started setting aside ginger chews because pregnant ladies love these. I wondered if I should stop and tell him the universe had changed its mind. I didn't. Inside the townhouse, everything looked suddenly staged, like we were actors who'd finished shooting and forgotten to strike the set. Our shoes still paired by the door, Jules's neon running sneakers, my battered canvas flats, looked guilty of something. The mail on the console held an envelope from the fertility clinic. Final embryo storage fee, due June 1st. I tore it open, hands trembling, only to find a cheerful reminder that our genetic material, 2 fertilized embryos, was safely cryopreserved in liquid nitrogen at -196 degrees. A temperature, the brochure informed me, where time stands still. I envied them. I texted Jules again. "Please talk to me." Read, but no reply. The next message came at 5:06 p.m., a PDF from a law firm I'd never heard of. Petition to void co-parenting agreement and relinquish cryopreservation rights. Signature line already filled in, Julian M. Carter. A cold, legal J squiggle where love used to live. My body went strangely calm, the same eerie hush that descends right before you vomit. I opened the freezer, stared at the tray of ice cubes, and realized I had no idea what relinquish meant for me. Could one party simply exit? Did half of our future children get erased with a notary's seal? I called my best friend, Maya, who arrived within 20 minutes carrying cheap wine, organic ginger chews, and a printout of a Wikipedia page titled Assisted Reproduction Law, U.S. She read aloud while I drank. Turns out we'd never finalized the parentage decree. Jules's attorney had wanted to wait until transfer, which meant legally the embryos were half Jules's property, and they were choosing to discard them, or donate them, or let them thaw into nothing. The room tilted. At 7:12 p.m. another text bubble popped up, this time from Jules's sister, Cora. Asterisk I just heard. I'm so sorry. I didn't know anything until today. Asterisk so family had been informed before me. I pictured them all in a virtual huddle, deciding how best to untangle their daughter/sibling from the woman who'd apparently become inconvenient. Maya poured more wine. I don't remember drinking it, only the purple crescent it left on her white sleeve when I hugged her later. Sobbing so hard, I hiccuped the saffron taste of the dinner that would never be cooked. Wednesday blurred. I found myself at my laptop Googling, "Can you stop someone from destroying embryos?" Answer: only if you file an emergency injunction, and even then courts side with the person refusing procreation. The phrase, "right not to be a parent," appeared repeatedly, like a hymn I didn't want to learn. I called 3 attorneys. The earliest consultation was next Tuesday. By then the clinic would already begin thawing if Jules signed the release. I emailed Jules, subject line, "Please do not discard." I wrote, "*I will take full legal and financial responsibility. You would never have to parent. Please sign them over to me." *I attached a draft consent form I found online. I CC'd the clinic. I hated the desperation in my keystrokes, but kept typing anyway. Thursday afternoon, a reply. Not from Jules, from their lawyer. * client is considering options. All communication should flow through counsel. * a wall erected overnight, brick by billable hour. I took the day off work, drove to the clinic anyway, sat in the pastel lobby across from a coffee table book titled Dreams Made Visible. A nurse with kind eyes brought me tissues before I even asked. She confirmed that if both genetic contributors rescinded consent, the embryos would be allowed to warm within 30 days. Allowed to warm, as if they were guests being offered coats. I signed nothing, paid the storage fee out of our joint account, still accessible, though I expected that door to slam any moment. The receipt felt like a ransom note in reverse, for $185 to buy my own future 4 weeks at a time. Friday, 9:04 a.m., a text finally from Jules. * I can't be a parent. Not now, maybe not ever. I'm sorry I couldn't say it face to face. I'll sign them over to you. My lawyer will send papers. * I read it in the grocery store, standing beneath fluorescent bulbs that hummed like insects. I should have felt victory. Instead it was hollow, a tree hollow, echoing with birds that had already migrated. The papers arrived Saturday. I signed where instructed, had them notarized, emailed scans, mailed hard copies. Then I drove to the beach, cold, windy, empty of couples practicing stroller pushes. I sat on the damp sand and watched a cargo ship crawl along the horizon, carrying containers full of stuff no one needed yet. I spoke aloud to Bean. "I don't know if you'll ever become, but I won't let you thaw unnamed." The wind carried my words away, which felt appropriate. Most lullabies are really promises we're not sure we can keep. Sunday, Maya came over with takeout dumplings and a cardboard box. We packed every relic of Operation Bean. The ultrasound printout of an empty uterus we'd framed optimistically, the tiny green onesie that said Data Curious, the paint swatches, Sea Salt Quietude. I taped the box shut, labeled it Future, TBD. We stored it in the attic, next to Christmas ornaments and a deflated air mattress. When we came downstairs, I noticed the saffron jar still on the counter. I opened it, let the threads drift into the trash like brittle red seaweed. Then I scrubbed the shrimp smell from the fridge, poured the unfinished wine down the sink, changed the pistachio calendar color to gray. Monday I returned to work. Colleagues asked about my long weekend. I said productive, and left it there. My inbox held 73 new tasks, all of them solvable, none of them alive. At 2:17 p.m., exactly 1 week after the text that smelled of lilacs and endings, my phone buzzed again. A courier confirmation. * documents recorded. Embryos transferred to sole custody of Claire Reynolds. * the words looked like a birth certificate and a death certificate printed on the same page. I closed the email, opened a new calendar, and created an entry for 30 days from now titled Renew Storage. Forever? I colored it the neutral beige of undecided. Then I opened a blank note and wrote the first line of a different kind of plan. Step 1, breathe. Outside, May was still tricking everyone. Sun high, lilacs wilting, asphalt warming. Inside, I poured a glass of water, held it with both hands, and drank slowly, as if it were champagne, as if there were someone across the table to toast. The future was no longer pistachio or quietude. It was transparent, tasteless, necessary. And for now, it was enough.